You are listening to an exclusive horror story on the Masia YouTube channel. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. The rain poured down relentlessly over the bustling streets of Hanoi, a city fervent with life and stories untold. I found myself nestled away from the downpour inside a small, dimly lit cafe. The walls were decorated with fading tapestries, and the air was heavy with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, mingling with the melancholic tunes that danced softly from an old radio perched on a shelf. It was my sanctuary, my escape from the noise of the world. As I sipped my coffee, allowing the music to seep into the depths of my being, I noticed a young man approaching my table. His eyes, full of a curious blend of admiration and hesitation, met mine. "Excuse me, sir," he began, his voice barely above the whispers of the rain outside. "Are you the storyteller on Facebook? The one who writes about the supernatural?" I nodded, curious and somewhat surprised. "Yes, that's me." He smiled, a genuine yet nervous expression lighting up his face. "I'm Tu," he introduced himself, extending a hand covered with the faintest traces of calluses, a testament to long hours spent gripping a steering wheel. "I'm a local taxi driver, and I follow your stories. They intrigue me." His admission was sincere, and as he settled into the chair across from me, I realized this was no ordinary encounter. The cafe, the rain, the music, they all seemed to conspire to bring us together. "I have a story," Tu continued, his voice steady now, "a ghost story, if you'll care to listen." At that moment, the world outside faded into insignificance. I leaned in closer, the promise of a chilling tale igniting my old storyteller's heart. "Of course," I replied, my interest undeniably piqued. "Tell me your story." It was one of those wet, dreary nights when the rain fell in stubborn sheets, blurring the neon lights of Hanoi like an abstract painting. I wiped the foggy window of my cab for the umpteenth time, the city a cascade of drenched colors in the rearview mirror. Just as I was about to call it a night, a man approached my car. He was dressed in a dark raincoat, the hood casting shadows over his face. With a voice barely audible over the downpour, he said, "I need a ride to Vietri City. I'll pay extra." It was a hefty offer, more than enough to tempt a weary driver at the end of his shift. I hesitated for a mere second before nodding. "Get in," I said, my gut giving a faint protest I chose to ignore. The journey to Vietri was uneventful, the rhythmic patter of rain soothing against the roof of the cab. My passenger spoke little, a silent silhouette watching the world slip by in streams of water. Upon reaching the city, he handed me a wad of cash, more than we had agreed upon. "Thank you," he mumbled, disappearing into the night. Satisfied and a little smug, I decided to take a shortcut back home, down an old dirt road that seemed quicker. The night was still young in darkness, and the rain had not let up. The dirt road was desolate, the headlights cutting through the darkness like a blade. Suddenly, a small figure appeared in the beam, a toddler in a soaked onesie, standing bewildered in the middle of the road. My heart lurched, and I braked hard, tires skidding on the slick mud. I stumbled out of the car, rain drenching me instantly. "What on earth?" I muttered, approaching the child cautiously. The kid looked up at me, wide-eyed and silent, clutching a ragged teddy bear. Just then, a piercing scream shattered the night. "That's my baby!" a woman's voice cried out, filled with panic. Before I could react, two men emerged from the shadows, their faces obscured by the rain. They charged toward me, fists raised and voices accusing. "Kidnapper!" they yelled, grabbing me with force. I stumbled backward, trying to explain, but their ears were deaf to reason. "I was just trying to help," I shouted desperately, the weight of their blows forcing me to the ground. In the chaos, one of them rifled through my pockets, their hands swift and determined. They came up with my wallet, extracting every bill it held, a hard-earned 5 million VNDs. The realization hit me like a cold gust of wind. It was a trap, a perfectly orchestrated ambush. They left me there, the rain mingling with my blood as I lay bruised and shaken on the muddy road. In the aftermath, a thought pierced through my foggy mind, my wife's warning about my astrological sign clashing this month. The night hung heavy over the quiet streets as I drove back from Ninh. I was alone, or so I thought, until I saw them, a mother and her young daughter standing by the road under a flickering street lamp. They seemed out of place, like misplaced pieces in the puzzle of the night. I slowed down, and the woman flagged me with a wave that seemed both desperate and serene. As they climbed into the back of my taxi, an unnatural chill crept into the cabin, sending a shiver down my spine despite the humid night. I glanced at the rearview mirror to see the mother gazing back at me with eyes that seemed hollow, almost as if they were staring through to the other side. But when I turned around, they appeared utterly normal, the mother gently holding her daughter's hand as they sat quietly in the back seat. I shook off the unsettling feeling and asked, "Where to?" The woman replied in a voice that seemed to echo hollowly, "Military Hospital 108 in Hanoi, please." As I drove, the eerie atmosphere clung to the air, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. Occasionally, I heard the distant echoes of children's laughter, playful yet otherworldly. Finally, we reached the entrance of Military Hospital 108. I parked the taxi and turned to let them know we'd arrived. But the back seat was empty. They had vanished without a trace, leaving only a lingering coldness behind. I noticed something odd on the seat: old, paper-thin notes. Picking them up, my heart skipped a beat as I realized what they were. Hellbank notes, the kind used in rituals for the deceased. Suddenly, I understood what had happened. I had given a ride to ghosts. After the unsettling night shift, Tu slowly approached his front door, the familiar creak echoing through the stillness. As he entered, his heart barely had time to find relief before chaos erupted. His usually placid dogs transformed into a frenzy of barks and growls, their eyes wild and unrecognizing. The cats, typically aloof yet gentle, hissed violently, arching their backs in a menacing display. Alarmed, Tu's wife, Lean, dashed into the scene, her face a mask of confusion and concern. "What's happening?" she exclaimed, rushing to Tu's side. The moment was tense, charged with inexplicable energy. That's when Lean made a decisive move. She swiftly retrieved a bundle of garlic from the kitchen and a stack of old newspapers. Seasoned with respect for tradition and desperation, she struck a match, lighting the papers and chanting under her breath, her words ancient and potent. Despite the ritual, Tu's ordeal was far from over. As night fell deeper, an insidious fever gripped him, turning the world into a haze of delirium and dread. His skin burned, and strange dreams twisted through his mind. Lean, frantic and determined, knew they needed help beyond her abilities. She sought the guidance of Min, a revered psychic known for her connection to the spirit world. Min arrived with an air of quiet authority, her presence calming yet commanding. She sat across from Tu, eyes closed, hands hovering above his feverish body. Her voice, soft but firm, broke the silence. "Two spirits cling to him," she intoned, her words wrapped in mystery and gravity. "They are the wraiths of two women, lost and searching for solace." Min's brow furrowed as she continued, "But do not fear, for I will sever their hold." With deliberate movements, she drew a talisman from her bag, inscribed with symbols as old as time itself. "This will guard your home and keep the spirits at bay." As the talisman was placed above the doorway, a palpable shift occurred, a lightness, a release. Tu's recovery was gradual, like the dawn breaking after a long night. Yet the experience had etched a mark on his soul. The memories lingered, casting a shadow on his thoughts. The road at night, once a realm of solitary peace, now carried an undercurrent of fear. Every unknown rustle, every shadow seemed alive with unseen eyes. As the clock strikes midnight and the city veils itself in shadows, the tales of our taxi driver linger like the distant hum of a departing engine. Each encounter, each story shared, offers a glimpse into the unknown, a world where reality and the supernatural blur under the cover of night. I've spent countless hours listening to these tales, each more enigmatic than the last, and yet a pattern emerges. They serve as reminders that, when the sun dips below the horizon, caution and vigilance become our greatest allies. In the solitude of night drives, our taxi driver became more than a transporter of passengers. He became a witness to the unseen, a chronicler of tales that defy explanation. His stories, spun from the whispers of those who dare to share the road, leave us pondering the nature of truth and fiction. Do we believe in the restless spirits that roam the night, or dismiss them as figments of imagination and the weariness of a long shift? Perhaps the true spectral beings are the choices we make, haunting us with their consequences. Ultimately, these tales hold a mirror to our actions. They remind us of the roads we choose and the paths we avoid. As listeners, we're left on the precipice of belief and skepticism, each story urging us to be mindful of our steps, to remain aware of the shadows that stretch just beyond our vision. In this twilight world,